Welcome to Real Chat,
the podcast where we, Annie and Chad, discuss real shit
loosely related to the real estate industry. Hi, Chad.
Hi. How's it going?
Good.
Today's a day, man.
What do you want to talk about?
I don't care. I'm open.
How was your Vegas trip?
My Vegas trip was a ton of fun. It was short. Like we were there for 3 days, right? Is that right? 3 days? Yeah.
Ish.
We got there on Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, and we came home on Wednesday. So it was fun. We had a lot of fun. It was very short. I only was drunk one night, which was a good thing. That's
Getting
my
old.
record. Yeah, and I wasn't even, I was hungover the next day. I'm not going to lie. The plane ride was a little rough, but
Got to learn your limits.
we went to the piano bar in New York.
I saw the videos.
Yeah. Everybody probably saw the videos.
Yeah.
I think I was tagged in them on Facebook, wasn't I?
Maybe.
My husband
Mikey
got
was on a piano. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did a little gambling while you were gone because I might have had when you're feeling left out.
Yeah. FOMO.
So I took my son, or I met my son at the casino because you were not here. So he's become my new.
Oh, now let's be real. Your son has replaced me.
Could you move?
Even before I went to Vegas, you have been to the casino with your son, who shall remain named.
Hi, Brandon.
He shall remain nameless as to not get him in trouble numerous times.
So when I used to gamble with my dad, we became partners. Mm-hmm. So then you and I have picked that up. So it's kind of fun when you're gambling with somebody to be a partner, because then if one of you are winning, you don't feel jealous. You can be excited because then you're winning
half
too.
Of it, right.
So we just been on a winning streak. But the last time I went with Brandon, I could just do no wrong. So then we decided every time we get to $1,000, we would cash out and split it.
How many times did you cash out and split it?
4. How many times did he cash out and split it? Goose egg.
That's my man. Brandon, you and I gamble the same way with her. I let her do the heavy lifting. We just have the fun.
So, yeah. So I kept bringing him money. I would be like it's my job.
Making it rain.
Making it rain. And then then you and I went and same thing.
Yeah, we didn't do 4 though, did we?
I paid taxes.
Twice. In one night you paid taxes.
Yeah, we didn't do 4. 3.
Yeah.
We had $3,000.
That was crazy to think about, that you paid taxes twice in one night. That's 2 jackpots.
Never did that before.
That's the first?
You pay taxes if you win I don't know how it is at the tables, but if you win over $1,200 or $1,200 or over. So I won $1,203.
You know what's weird? So
I had to pay taxes on that.
Yeah, I wonder what that is, the actual rule is. Because I don't think it's a flat dollar amount. I always thought it had to do with the odds.
No, it's $1,200 is I only play video poker, so I only know the rules for video poker.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the odds. Maybe that's why.
I don't know.
But I'm happy to pay taxes. I'm happy to do my share.
Long time ago, I won. It's the only place I like to pay taxes. I say that.
And you only have to pay the state.
Be one place that I'll be excited to pay my taxes.
They do require that you have to pay the state. But anyway, I've been on a roll, so I probably need to back off for a while because you know that ends.
I did not win in Vegas, so no roll for me. And I lost with you. You were winning though, so I was all right with it.
Yeah, it's that silly new machine.
And then we ate at that.
I'm the only one who ever plays those machines. I don't know how they keep them.
It's because you play them enough to keep them.
Well, I don't go that much. That's crazy. There's 4 of them.
That's funny.
I've decided they have a video camera, and they're like, "Ooh, look, she's back." Doesn't she get it? They're not that good. Nobody else plays them.
I don't know. You seem to win on them all the time.
I do. A lot. Not all the time, but quite often. So
I never win on them.
Yeah. My largest jackpot ever was on that machine, on that game, those machines.
I've never had a jackpot at all on those machines.
Sorry.
I don't think you are.
When you're my partner, I'm sorry.
That's true. That is true.
So So let's talk real estate.
All right.
I'm even talk about what's happened in the last couple of weeks. I'm trying to think of something that we've.
Spray.
You all right?
No, I'm not.
Raise your armies up. Maybe this is why you shouldn't have supper and drink during the podcast. Did you just call it
supper?
I did.
I'm sorry.
I don't even say
At what point did you become an 85-year-old woman?
No, I'm going to call my brother out now. My brother calls it supper. I don't call it supper. I don't know why.
Anybody that calls it supper besides 85-year-old women.
I was going to say snacks because last time you were eating snacks.
Oh my God. Still on the snacks.
So then I said supper.
Do you know what's funny? Stacy Votaw commented on that reel the other day. And apparently when you were razzing me about eating the peanuts on the podcast, you said you want me to hear what it hears like.
I saw it. I heard it. I couldn't believe you didn't call me out.
I wasn't listening.
And then Mandy made that the clip that
and now somebody commented on it on Facebook.
Stacy, you're team Annie.
No, Stacy Votaw. Way to go, girl.
Stacy is neutral, but a little leaning towards Annie, but rude nonetheless.
I'm just glad I didn't have to be the one to call you out again.
I couldn't believe that nobody else commented about, because again, I heard it like 10 times and I hear what did I say?
I want you to hear what it hears like. That's
exactly what I said.
I was like, oh, that's funny. I didn't, but that goes to that interesting thing for me. Like have you ever seen those things on Facebook where they jumble up the words in a sentence, the order of them or something, and you can still read it because your brain just reads the first and the last of a series and it burns patterns in there. And so you can still read that. Or if you switch the letters around, as long as the first one and the last one and the number of letters are the same, your brain can still read that.
Fascinating.
Which is totally fascinating. You don't think so?
No, I do.
Am I nerding out?
No, I do.
Like, what is that? That's that repetitive, that's a habit. Ooh, we talk about that a lot in real estate, habits.
We do.
Anyways, it's fascinating. And I think when I was listening to you, that's what I just assumed you said. I want you to hear what it sounds like, because that would have been what the natural sentence would have been.
Well, it's also because we both have this really bad habit of listening to respond and not listening to understand. So you aren't even listening to the last part of my sentence ever.
It's true. So true.
You're just waiting to jump in. And
Mike, he says that all the time. Every time you're on car phone, which I will say, you and I have this way of still hearing each other, no matter because he'll be on the speakerphone in my car, and we'll be having a conversation, and we're very controlled on the podcast, believe it or not. But when we're just having our natural conversations, we talk over each other all the time. Like, I
feel like if I don't jump in, I'm never going to get to say.
Samesies.
Okay, I'm not going to interrupt you again today.
And Mikey goes,
get ready.
You can't even make it 5 seconds without interrupting me.
I was talking to the audience. I wasn't talking to you.
Oh, it's a mess. He does. He says it all the time. He's like, how do you even know what you talked about? And I'm like, and I'll repeat everything you said and everything I said on the phone in the conversation. He's like, I don't know how you do that. And I'm like, I don't know. Just our thing. That's what we do. Maybe he needs to learn how you do that. Can you give him some pointers?
I'm over here waiting for you to take a breath so I can talk. No, not only do you hear me, but you better not drink, because I'm going to make you spit that water out. You quote me 7 weeks later, and I don't even remember I said. And you're verbatim.
It's true. He gets mad at me for that, too, because we'll be arguing about something. I'll be like, you said, and he'll be like, no, I didn't. And I said, yeah, you did. Do you want me to play? I'd play it. Roll the tape.
However, you probably only heard a part of it, just like you didn't hear my here.
It's true.
Thing. So
that's true. Absolutely true. Anyways, what were we going to talk about?
I think we were going to talk a little bit about clear cooperation today. So,
What's that?
why don't you tell us?
Clear cooperation.
Where did that come from? In the real estate world, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Why?
There's been a whole bunch of news about it lately because NAR, which is National Association of Realtors, just updated their interpretive policy on clear cooperation. But clear cooperation is a policy that NAR has for their MLSs, which is a multiple listing service. And so the MLS has to follow these policies when it's owned by a realtor association. And ours in our trade area is owned by a realtor association. Ours is actually owned by a conglomerate of like a dozen different realtor associations, but they so they have policies that you have to follow. And clear cooperation is one of them. Been around for a minute. Because it came out in like 2000.
And why did the National Association of Realtors think they needed a policy? I guess first tell us what the policy is, and then why did we need it?
I don't know why they thought so.
It's raining.
I know, I just heard it. The National Association of Realtors implemented clear cooperation policy like 2000. I can't remember if it's 2018 or 2019, and I don't really know why they did it. I think at the time, if my memory serves, it had something to do with fair housing and making sure that everybody and the members of the public had an equal opportunity to every listing that was listed by a realtor. So when you're a realtor and you're a member of the MLS, we have an agreement that we list any property that we sell or take a listing agreement on.
That we cooperate with other.
Well, yes, but the MLS has a policy that we list it within a certain time frame. So we can't take a listing for a client and not put it in the MLS as members of the MLS. Yes, we have to cooperate with other realtors, but I think that's more of an ethical obligation from the association, not so much the MLS rules.
No, I think it's one of the reasons that NAR created that policy. One, that we all agree that we're going to cooperate, and two, that buyers and sellers all have an equal opportunity at what's for sale and for selling their property.
Yeah. So the benefit of clear cooperation, which just the policy states that realtors will list any property that they have for sale within 24 hours of publicly marketing it in the MLS. So if you have a listing agreement with a client, they're selling their house, and you put a sign in the yard, that's public marketing. Because it's advertising that the house is for sale to the public at large, right? And it doesn't even have to be necessarily the masses. It's just the public at large. And so that would trigger the 24-hour rule, which requires you then to enter the listing into the MLS for syndication to all the other realtors and all of the IDX feeds. So that's where Zillow and Realtor.com and all of the brokerage websites and everything like that get all of the listings from realtors. And so that was clear cooperation. So at the time that it was put in, we were doing these like coming soons, and we were calling them exemptions, right? You remember exempt listings? So you could sign a form with your seller that said that you were going to make the property exempt from listing it in the MLS, and then you could put out a sign that said coming soon for sale. Now, you couldn't let anybody in the house, blah, blah, blah. And so that presented all kinds of problems because people were actually letting in. So then they made the status coming soon, and they implemented this clear cooperation policy all at the same time. So they said you put a sign in the yard, even though it says coming soon, you don't have to show the house, but you put a sign in the yard that says coming soon, then you have to list it in the MLS in that status, which does not allow showings. Within 24 hours of doing that. And that's clear cooperation.
And why? What's the benefit?
To provide equal access to everybody. It inhibits realtors from holding listings within their office to try to get both sides of the deal. Pocket listings, which are a term that's being thrown around a ton right now, are listings where, like, if I have a seller, I go and I get a listing agreement, and then I just hold on to that listing agreement, and I only tell my clients about it, and I keep it from the rest of my office, from the IDX feeds, from the MLS, and until I've secured a buyer that's under my agreement. That practice is actually illegal in the state of Missouri.
Right.
And so I don't think that that's happening a lot now.
No.
I do, however, so clear cooperation went into place, and there was a lot of pushback from realtors because, well, we can get into why there was a lot of pushback for realtors. I really don't understand why there was a lot of pushback from realtors, but we can get into that. There was a lot of pushback from realtors, so the MLS and NAR said, well, okay, in addition to coming soon, we need an office exclusive, and they had a different word for it at the time, but it's now being rebranded as office exclusive listing status. At the time, they called it withheld, which meant that with your client's permission, you could withhold the listing from public marketing but you could still show the rest of your office, right? And the policy, right? And here's where it gets crazy,
ugly, scary,
right,
controversial.
So the policy said that you can advertise it in one-on-one communication to anybody that you have a contractual relationship with, business relationship. So your buyers that you had under agency agreement, you could share that listing with them. You, as a realtor in a brokerage, have a contractual relationship with the other realtors in the brokerage. So anybody within the brokerage could also see the listing. Well, that presented a big problem for smaller independent brokerages because if you have 5 people in your office, whoopee-doo, you can show the listing to 5 people. But if you have 100 people in your office or 1,000 people in your office, you're getting a lot more exposure. And so agents were able to, again, pre-sell that, right, a little bit. It's similar to a pocket listing,
right?
But it's really not a pocket listing.
However, where I want you to get to is, that's all for the realtor and for the brokerage. And I know that's where the controversy lies.
Right, because that's where the policy is.
But where is the benefit to the public?
I don't think there is one.
Right.
So you could do office exclusive listings, which keeps it inside the office. And so then, to your point, agents started doing that a lot, and I almost think that they're doing it. Most agents that I've talked to are doing it innocently. Usually, there's like some kind of work that's being done to the house, or they're just not ready to publicly market the house yet. Right? They're not ready to go live with their listing. But they're going to. They have every intention to, and so an agent will throw it into office exclusive. In the meantime, well, then when that happens, there's another agent somewhere or whatever that comes along and buys the house. That's not a pocket listing necessarily because there's a different agent involved in selling the house, but it is stifling the marketing of the property. And then it never gets sent out to the public at large, which was the entire purpose.
Well, but that's where I struggle with it because that is not, I just cannot seem to be convinced that that's in the best interest of the public.
Right.
If I have a seller and I don't care if there's 300 agents in your office.
Yeah.
You showing it to those 300 agents who maybe they have a buyer, or you put it out on the MLS to the thousands of people. How am I going to get a better offer by you holding it in your office only? That's where I struggle with that. Unless there's a reason, which is a very few percent.
Right.
Like, I'm ugly, divorced. I don't want someone to know I'm selling my house.
My name's Taylor Swift.
I don't want people walking through my house. That's why that makes sense.
Right.
But I
think our people are using that as a crutch to be lazy. I don't think that agents are doing that. So I don't know what the benefit is to sellers to list it outside of. I mean, I don't know that argument either. Nobody's ever made it, and I've asked, same as you. I've asked the question 100 times.
Yeah, and I can see why a big brokerage wants to do it, because they can be like, "Ooh, look at us, we're really big, so you should list your house with us because we have lots of agents."
But again, like, what's the benefit?
It's not. It's selfish. It's a benefit to them. I want to go back and call their clients and say, I just want to ask, did your agent actually explain to you? Because I can go back, and when that market was crazy, I can go back and look at some of those houses, and I want to tell that seller, do you know that I had a buyer that would have paid you $30,000 more than you got? It's like, so I want to know, did your agent really explain that, or you and I both know you can serve it up to be how it's such a benefit, and how it's such a great thing for them to do it. But it's not in the best interest. I don't see, except for those exceptions, I don't see how that's in the interest of your client.
I don't either. I mean, I had one person tell me that they had a buyer for a house that was sold in withheld at the time, office exclusive, whatever you want to call it. That would have paid $75,000 more than the house sold for.
Sure.
And it was never marketed publicly.
Right.
And if there was that one buyer that was saying that, there
Absolutely.
was probably one or two more somewhere
Sure.
that would have also done it. So I don't know. I don't get it.
And so, right. So that's the argument that they can't answer. And they just don't answer that.
Well, they don't answer it. I think answering that has a little bit of legal liability, not to get into the weeds too much.
No, but why are they recommending that that's a great option for their sellers?
Well, the brokerages, I'm going to make an assumption here that the brokerages, it's in the benefit, it's in the best interest of the brokerage. And as brokerage owners, we can sit here and say that. I would love it if every house we ever listed, the buyer was represented by us. Also, we get both sides of the transaction.
But we would never do it because it's not in the best interest of the client.
No, it's not in the best interest of your seller at all, for sure.
Right.
Now, it is in the best interest of your buyer.
Maybe.
To have that option available.
Right.
I just don't think that sellers know it's happening, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, exactly why we got sued and lost over commissions. Because it wasn't that we were even doing anything illegal. It was that the buyers didn't know, the sellers weren't aware that that they were able to control the cost of buyer's agency. And so
I know. Right.
It's same thing.
I just wonder
if the seller's not aware.
How many of those withheld listings statistically really needed to be, because I do believe there's a need for it.
Yeah.
I want to go through all the listings we've ever had. We have zero that had that need. Like, I don't want to be publicly marketed. I don't want to get the absolute best deal, best offer I could possibly get because it's outweighed by the public knowing I'm for sale. That's never happened.
Now, I will tell you, I had one recently, and this came up in a conversation with somebody the other day, is because, so we had clear cooperation, but NAR just released an interpretive policy update. So now they're allowing delayed marketing, right? So they're trying to give those that were doing it innocently, and we're putting it in there to get the house ready to go on the market, a category of their own. I
for
think
sure, there was
what the point of that is, right? And so it's essentially office exclusive. I'm summarizing now based on what I've read, and I understand this is only a week and a half old. A lot of the changes haven't even been made yet. I'm just reading the policy and interpreting it right now, so we'll see how it all shakes out. But essentially, you have office exclusive, and now we're going to have MLS exclusive listings and then public listings. So that's an option for sellers also. And the point of the policy update from NAR, according to what they say, is to give sellers the most choices that they can. So from that standpoint, absolutely, I'm going to tell the seller when I go into a listing agreement, your choices are office exclusive, delayed marketing, or public. Here's the benefits of all three. Here's the cons of all three. What do you want to do?
Right.
That's the conversation I think that nobody's having.
Well, it's the conversation that I would say a lot of people don't know how to have.
Yeah.
And that's the point, because depending on who's telling you the conversation to have, do they have the public's best interest or their own?
Well, and we had a client recently, not one of you and I's, but an agent client, and it's a newer agent, so I was on the listing appointment with them, and the client didn't want us to publicly advertise the house right away. The house was vacant. It's neighboring to a not so, a crime-ridden area. So she was concerned about it. And she had to leave. The client had to leave. And they were moving out of state. So they're going to be states away. They don't have anybody to watch the house, which of course we told them we're going to go by and check on the house and make sure nothing's going on with it. But she's like, I really just don't want it out there. Isn't there any way that you can not put it out there? And so I gave her the office exclusive option. She's like, yeah, but we're probably not going to get a very good price on that, are we? I said, probably not, and it's probably going to take a while. I mean, even if I had, 300 to 1,000 agents in my office, that in peril compared to the
Massive
15,000 MLS subscribers and the IDX
And,
feeds that are going to
right.
get sent out after that to the MLS. Now, we do already have the option in our MLS to mark a listing not to publish to the internet. So what that does is it stops it from going to the IDX feeds. So you can put a listing in the MLS and you can mark it not to publish to the internet, which is a public listing. So you're marketing it publicly. But so we flipped that off. And so that listing essentially was delayed marketing, right? It went out to all of the MLS subscribers. And it does go on through the portal. So if you have a buyer that is, to my knowledge, if you have a buyer that's on a home search, automatic home search, that buyer can see that. But they have to have some sort of relationship with a realtor, right?
Right.
Which means then we know their name. They're probably pre-approved. So their lender has a social security number and driver's license and blah, blah, blah. So we did that and it sold. I mean, it sold that way relatively quickly. And I don't think she ever did flip it to public.
And I'm not saying
So
that there
that's
aren't
delayed
reasons.
marketing.
Right. There are reasons. That's a
Right.
legitimate reason.
Right.
It's like clients. It's a client saying, "I don't want you to put a sign in my yard because I feel like that's a beacon of, there's a possibility no one
Inviting
lives
people,
here."
right.
Right. So it makes sense. We just have to. People take advantage when there's things put up to their own benefit.
And from what I've seen and the numbers wise, and you've been in the meeting, so you can speak to those numbers a little bit more. I don't know whether the numbers I'm seeing are accurate necessarily, but there are a large percentage of the listings, in my opinion, a large percentage of the listings that are selling in that office exclusive category, which I can't imagine that there are.
It was not a large number. It really.
How many percentage was it?
Now, it depends on who you asked in the room.
I'm going to say the Maris CEO.
13%.
Yeah. So
but there were brokers who were saying it was much higher, but yeah.
Of course. Again, and
But
the brokers
he
numbers
quoted
are the one
13%.
13% from the MLS CEO. That's a large number to me.
Right.
Based on our experience, we've sold what?
And that's where I want to know.
100 houses, 150 houses.
What should that number be? Of that 13%, what were people that they were not educated by their realtor in what was in their best interest? That's what I struggle with. Right. Not that it exists, but is somebody betraying the public for their own benefit?
No doubt in my mind.
And that's the part that I struggle with is like, That's
because you're a good person.
And I like fair and equal.
I know.
I mean, if you have to be successful,
is a lot. If you extrapolate that to ours, well, I mean, even if we've sold 100 houses and we've sold more than that, out of those 100 clients, we would have had 13 of them that didn't want to publicly advertise. It's way too high.
Well, we had 0, so yeah.
One. I'll give you one out of all of them that we've written.
It wasn't
100.
Even
ours.
That's
but
1 out of 300. Right.
Yeah. Which isn't even, I mean, that's not even 0.33% of sellers that we've dealt with. Yeah. Maybe we're in a bubble. Who knows?
No, and it's where this is one of the times where it's not in everybody's best interest, cannot be equal. Our DBA is trifecta because we run our business on to have a successful transaction. The client, the real estate agent, and the brokerage have to all be winners.
Right.
You don't sacrifice any for the other. But in this case, the buyer or the seller, the client has to have more weight as you're running your thoughts through that process.
Yeah. Well, you can't sacrifice the needs of the client so that the brokerage wins for sure, or the agent. And
I believe strongly that that's what's happening in a lot of cases.
I don't disagray with you.
So
I think somebody's going to get sued over it. And if you're
then they're going to have that thing that they call, what do they call it? Oh my gosh, collateral damage.
Yes.
Here come the rest of us.
Yep. That's exactly what happened with the commissions.
I know.
You have agents out there that aren't explaining it, that aren't going, no.
It's so frustrating.
It's very frustrating. I know. We should learn. You're not wrong. We should learn. I think you and I learn. And I do think there's large, but that's the old statistic too. That's why 5% of the realtors sell 95% of the houses in a market. The reason for that is because those are the 5% that are learning And those are the 5% that really do have the client's interest best at heart. And if you look around, those are the 5% that aren't putting their listings in withheld.
Right. Right.
Hello, realtors.
Or they have the power because they're on a big team. So they're being success. It's working for them because they have that, but it's still not right for the. It's still not right for the client.
But in the long run, don't you think it's not going to work out for them anyways? In the long run, they're getting less money for their house.
Yeah, but until somebody educates the public that that's what's potentially happening to them, no different than the lawsuit over commission. A lot of the public had no idea.
It's true.
So I think there's people out there that thought that big brokerage was, that's why they went with them. They were helping them and they were making it better. But we know for a fact they were leaving $50,000, $75,000 on the table.
And I don't want to be negative towards big brokerages
I'm not
either.
either.
There's a lot of realtors that work at big brokerages that don't do that don't want anything to do with that think it's dumb, And there are reasons to do it. I mean, so the seller should have the choice. Which is the whole reason we're having this conversation again is
educate the seller.
Yes.
And they get to choose.
Right.
That was our waking up to win today. It's not your job to choose for them ever.
Right.
For any decision.
We don't make decisions.
That's right. We state the facts. We show them the facts. We tell them their options.
Yeah.
And we let them choose.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. It's that simple.
It really is. That's why they say.
Why are people struggling?
Oh, I know. Well, that's why they say that. What is that saying? Being a realtor is one of the most difficult, simple jobs you'll ever have.
Well, it's because there's so much at stake for the client.
It is a large transaction. The client is emotional.
It's emotional.
We have a tendency as humans to take on others' emotions and be affected by others' emotions. So, yeah, and which is all natural and a good thing too.
And you want people to feel safe and to feel good and.
Right.
That you're going to fix it. And
right.
Boy, it's a lot easier when you take the emotion out of this equation.
If only we could figure out a way.
And I get it. I can go down a rabbit hole with you, especially if I feel it's an unjust.
Right. So, yeah. So that changes should be coming, which I made that point to that realtor today about the publishing to the internet is like, this is not new. We've had this for a long time. So, which is an argument in my head, which I'm going to use later when they start going. When all of a sudden there's all these delayed marketing listings just because it's an option. Now I'm going to be like, there was always an option, you Fruit Loops. Like, I just don't understand that either.
Well, they try to simplify it. But when we simplify things, for some reason, we make them more complicated.
Yeah.
And then you're an agent and you're like,
they don't even know what to do. No.
I'm just getting new carpet and I don't know how to. It shouldn't be that hard.
It really shouldn't. Well, the other thing that drives me crazy about, because you have the 24-hour rule, which is fine. That's from public marketing. But the other MLS rule about entering listings is a participation agreement. And we have 5 business days from signing a listing agreement. Or the rule is that we have 5 business days from a listing agreement becoming effective to put it in the MLS in an active status. So that would be coming soon or active right now. Those would be the 2 active statuses according to the rules. And people are like, well, I don't sign listing agreements because of this. And I'm like, our listing agreement has an effective date on it. So sometimes it really is just as dumb as, have you read what you're doing? Like, read what you're doing.
Well, it's not taught. If we go back to that, they just don't understand because I think realtors are smart people.
I don't disagree.
And I think they want to do the right thing. But you hear the rules constantly. If you don't get it in there in 24 hours, the police are coming. Or if you don't, you have 5 days. So they're like, oh, I don't think I should sign this. If I sign this, I only have 5 days. Or I only have 21 days for a coming soon. I might take longer. For whatever reason, nobody says, oh, well, you have this effective date.
Right.
Why?
I don't know.
So,
because I don't think anybody reads it. I really don't.
Well, that's true.
I mean, I really don't. I'm weird with that. I've read every word of every paperwork we use.
No, you are.
It's all right there usually.
It also falls under that whole if you want to feed a man, you can give him the fish or you can teach him how to fish. And I know we've started doing that a lot around here. Instead of answering the questions, because if you always answer the questions, you're always going to get asked the questions. Instead of saying, where could you go if I wasn't here? Where could you find that? Have you read the contract? I'll even simplify it. Read this paragraph and let me know if you still have a question.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to pick up the phone and just say, can I do this?
It is. And sometimes we answer those questions.
I know.
But
it's just easy. It's easy to answer it, but then we don't learn.
No.
That's got me. Yeah.
It's true. People are, and that's usually, I mean, that's how I coach when people call me.
I know. And when you're on the other end, it's frustrating when the person that you're asking
annoying.
says,
that's why nobody likes me.
yeah, that's it.
It's true.
Now
that we've established that,
I have taken
we can move on.
I have taken that though, because I am one who wants to solve somebody's problems. I'm a problem solver, so I just want to answer it. And it does, that first reaction, it does feel rude to say it, because you remember I was doing it yesterday, and then I finally thought, okay, if I get interrupted one more time for a basic question, I'm going to lose my mind. And so, but
yeah,
it is better to teach people how to fish.
It is.
Because now, after Chad's long gone, we can still eat.
But then here's the other part to that is you can't let people starve either. So
it's a fine line. How many days can you live without food?
Right, exactly.
3?
So if they're
I can only go a couple hours.
If they're coming on hour 95 of no fish, you got to give them a fish. Like
this is like Naked and Afraid. Those people live.
I wondered how long it would be before you brought Naked and Afraid into the podcast, because you quote that damn show every day of my life, but you have never said it on the podcast.
I do not quote that anymore because I don't think it's on anymore. There's not new. I don't watch it.
It was on in the airport when I was on my way back from Vegas.
Yeah, but it was probably a rerun.
I don't know, but I don't watch it at all. Never have. But
and it has nothing to do with being naked. They don't show that.
I'm sure they don't. It's on prime time.
But anyway,
TV.
I just want to go back to the fact that those people live a long time without food.
Yeah.
And what they figure out, I mean,
I think you can go for a long time without food. It's water that's the one that you can't.
That's true. So
72 hours.
So see, we should just define that. What's water, like that they really need, and what could they do a couple days without us giving it to them?
It's true.
But don't use that against me. When I ask a question, I want answers. Don't be using my shit against me. I hate when people use my coaching against me.
Oh, I'm well aware. As you've coached me for over a decade now.
And you use it against me daily.
Yeah.
Biggest regret in my life.
Yeah. Hey, you're learning something from it. That's the important part. And I learned a lot from it.
I think we're out of time.
Yeah, we are almost.
All right.
Any final thoughts?
Nope. Oh, you didn't say what episode this was. This was episode 23.
And thanks for joining us. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, what should they do, Annie?
Do it.
Do it. Do it. And we'll see you next week for episode 24.
Bye.
Bye.